All right, everybody, welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Thursday afternoon, hosted live in the Cyber Group Trading Room and streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube Live. Oh boy, I just finished off a long coaching session and I realized that I didn't refill up my water bottle before I hopped on. That's going to be a challenge. Welcome on back, guys, for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Great to see everybody live in our trading room. Bonnie, Daniel, Greg, Michael, Chuck. Go get it, Daniel says. I think it's too late now. Great to see everybody, though. Ron, Leda as well. Leda's asking, where's the gong, the sound effect I do right before I start? I thought I hit it. I didn't hit it. Anyone streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube won't be able to hear it, but at least for those of us in the trading room. There we go. I think I hit that there. All right, so we're good to go, guys. So to begin, of course, we see the APT trade moving up higher going into the afternoon. If you've been following these afternoon meetings over the last week, 2-3 weeks, not really much of a surprise. We've been following this going into the afternoons quite frequently. It just popped up on our radar a moment ago, so I just want to copy and paste the news. It's not news that I see from like 2 o'clock or so. This news snippet I have from earlier this morning, 11:10 Eastern, watching Alpha Pro Tech shares as hearing target to require masks in store as of August 1st. News snippet, the headline I got from APT earlier on today. But that was at 11 o'clock. Obviously, it took a long while to get the gears going. I don't know if there's other news that came out at the time, but this thing just exploded. Broke out over 18, instantly over 19, and it's trying to hold 19 right now. Going into the afternoon, as we've been trading the stock in the past, focus on 50-cent levels and whole numbers. It would not surprise me to see this pull back further towards that 1850 first before it begins to build some support. But yeah, for right now, easy enough for us to just begin by putting this on our list. I don't know if it'll be exactly an easy trade. Hopefully it will be. All right, cool. So APT, we'll put on our list like I had said. We did pretty well earlier this morning, guys, across a few of these stocks that we had on the morning watch list. So let's begin with that. And I'll tell you, listen, we have so many stocks on our lists every day, guys. We always tell you guys, you can't follow them all. I can't follow them all. Fausto can't follow them all, and so forth. That's why we like to work together as a team. So in the pre-market, BOXL, as I call it, Boxel, a lot of activity in the pre-market. With all intensive reasons, we put this on our list. This is where I messed up, me personally. You see BOXL here moving up the last 2-3 days, and then the gap up in pre-market this morning. I'll tell you guys, I thought this was just going to tank today. I thought this was going to get destroyed on the way down. Boy, was I wrong. So I missed out on this pop, as you could see, from 350, squeezed all the way up towards the eventual high of the day, 465. And from there, it started to pull back. And at this point now, it's still very active, bouncing off support that we have from 320. Going into the close, though, for right now, I'm not ready to commit to this trade just yet. Given this last spike up, this might be the beginning now at this point to see this come screaming back down lower into the close. So for the meantime, I will keep this on our side list. Donnie picking up on the short. Donnie, let me ask, were you able to get those shares to short from TradeStation? BOXL is a hard to borrow stock. So, hey, early bird gets the shares. You might be able to get the shares to short this stock if you request them early enough. But otherwise, just make sure if you can't get the shares to short, keep going back. Donnie picked up 20 cents. He was in from 387. Very nice trade, Donnie. Donnie, how about this? Let me ask you. So he said, yes, sir, which means he got him early on. Donnie, how many shares did you request to short BOXL? Because at least from TradeStation, we know that you could request a decent amount early. You don't need to use them by the end of the day, like all of them. I don't think there's any sort of fine or fee or any of that. So really, you could request a lot of shares early on and do, partial block positions. Request 5,000 shares in the morning and do 500 share positions here and there until you use them all. He said 1,000. All right, cool. Very nice, Donnie. I'm happy to hear at least you picked up 20 cents on that trade. Hey, if you can get the shares to short BOXL at this point still, then I would definitely put it on the list. I would rather just go through the rest of the gainers and losers list first. Part of my reason of not putting this on our list for the close is my bias that I think that this is just going to come crashing back down lower. I was wrong earlier today. I might be wrong going into the close, but for right now, we'll see if there's anything else looking better. This BKYI, I was really hopeful. But at this point right now, it's kind of making that same type of move. BKYI early this morning was on our pre-market list. It pulled back greatly going into the open. It was shaking up and down and around $1 here throughout most of the morning. I was picking up 10, 12 cents on this trade off a buck. It's embarrassing given what happened here, because there was no real need for me to get out aside from just taking the money and running. And I could have re-entered this trade if I was watching it more intently going into the late morning here. I stopped trading myself after 10:30. So I wasn't really prepared to jump in once it popped higher. One of our students, Kathleen, had asked, I think at the time, hey, is BKYI halted? I turn over to it. I know the answer right away because Kathleen's a good trader here. She knows it's halted. This was halted on the way up at 162. I was like so pissed off. Just if I held on to my share, not even that. If I just jumped back in over 120, oh my goodness, what a squeeze. But unfortunately, for as much as this ran up, came right back down, unfortunately. Ended up making a higher low, but then eventually pulled back down towards that same, consolidation area, 110. And hey, moved back up again, but most recently bounced off a major resistance level, guys. 161 was a major resistance level that we had from the halt. If I have the chance to show you guys, I'll do just that. So there we go. I was working with one of our students, Mohammed, in a coaching session just before, and I told him, I said, I'm not going to enter this over 150 because I'm expecting a false breakout. Well, I was wrong with the level because I didn't realize, and I should have at the time here, when this reopened up off its halt earlier this morning at 11:15, 11:14 Eastern, much like you see at the market open, there is, a market on open print on the tape. It's what we like to call the opening halt print, so to say. I'll tell you what, guys, I might have to run to the water cooler, fill up really quickly to continue this meeting. Once we ended up seeing the stock reopen off a halt, I'll show you the opening halt print, so to say, was exactly at 161. Oh, it may have been earlier here. I have to go back into the time frame here. Give me a quick sec, folks. 9:30. Here we go. Bingo. What time is this at? Oh, yeah, I had it right here. 1:13. Got to go back an extra minute, I guess. Well worth the wait. There we go. Right on the time in sales, guys. When this opened up off a halt, you see this big 296,000 share print filled. Yeah, 161. That's going to become a very key level going into this afternoon's trade. And as you could see, it broke above it, but that's where I said it made the false break. Popped over 161, freaking got crushed on the way back down after. Given the run, the volume, and everything else, I mean, I kind of put it in the same category as BOXL. The difference between BOXL and this is that this hasn't really ran up day over day over day. There could still be some room to see this run going into the close. So this one I'll put on our main list here in the meantime. All right, let me reset my time in sales here. Just another quick second. But what we'll do, guys, is go right from top to bottom as I tried to do with BKYI. We'll see what else we can get going into the afternoon. And anything else, we'll recap quick. The HTBX trade. HTBX ended up making a very sharp pop shortly after the open, second day in a row, and a much bigger run up, you could say. Ended up holding support off of 150, 155, moved up to make a new high, and pretty much took off after that. I don't think this one got halted on the way up, much like the other one just did, but ended up making the same type of drop off after making a false pop. Made a false breakout over 250, came right back down. Going into the close, I mean, you could say it's holding off too beautifully. It's not as close to the highs as I would want it to be. Yeah, for right now, I'm going to pass on this one. This HTBX. Made a very nice move yesterday, continued with an even bigger move earlier today. Pulling back. All right, we'll keep it moving though. This HMHC. Oof, I didn't notice this until right now. What is this, like Dunler Mifflin? That's a joke, but Houghton Mifflin Harcourt Comp. That's the name of the company. Not Dunler Mifflin. Ended up making a nice squeeze up from 2 to 284, 285 the high. What I like about this trade, if anything, is that it's shortable. Ended up dropping off quite a bit already off its high. So hopefully there's more room to go either way. We're just looking to trade the volatility and the direction that this thing is moving in. So, if this begins to build a higher low over 250, perhaps we'll begin to see this move back up towards the highs. Just broke under 250 though in the meantime here. So if it ends up making a higher low or a lower high rather, and beginning to try and re-break 250 coming up, I'd say we might see continuation on the way down. It's a shortable stock, so that's interesting at least. All right, let's see what else we have here, guys. The LGHL was from earlier today. I didn't trade this one. It was like a pre-market pop and at the open dumped off. Here's one we are familiar with, Digital Ally, DGLY. Ended up, as you could see on the daily chart back in June, a couple of huge runs up from 150. Not for a great reason, of course, everything going on just with, protesting. And this company makes the police body cam, I think. And we went over this here in the past in the trading room. We've traded the stock years and years back. Again, another unfortunate circumstance in life. When we had the protests, the riots in Ferguson at the time. This was back in 2000. How about this? Ready? This is before I was hired. So if you guys were here yesterday with me during this afternoon meeting, October 6th was my first day with Fausto. This stock popped a few months or a month or so before I was employed. Ended up making a huge pop at the time. It was with the Ferguson riots at the time here. But news came out. DGLY made a huge run up. Going back into early June, of course, everything happening in our world now ended up making a huge run up. And once again, popped going into the mid-morning. So I'll tell you what, I'll check out the news on this trade. I don't have it right in front of me, but I'll search on Benzinga Pro. All right, what do we have here? How about this? They won a $12.1 million government contract for body cameras. I don't think the size of the contract is that great, but it's interesting to note. Copied and pasted that here in the chat board for you guys. All right, well, DGLY made a huge squeeze up from earlier today, and although it pulled back here a bit, maybe I'm a bit biased just because we are familiar with this stock and we know how this stock has made some big moves in the past. I don't mind putting this on our main list going into the close. Maybe this will be near the middle, maybe near the bottom. Already made a huge move up once earlier. We'll see. All right, we'll keep it moving quick though, guys. TCCO not doing much. Jill from earlier today, really flat. Old name here, DFFN. One of our students, Barb, called this out going into the afternoon. Fantastic call out from Barb at the time. Volume died off rather quick though, unfortunately. Kind of stalling out here for right now. All right, UAVS, another one. I would say kind of similar with the Boxel trade from the last few days to see day over day run-ups like this. And even on this red candle here, you had a pre-market gap early on and it ran after. So, this thing's been super strong the last week and a half or so. I would have thought it would end up tanking. Ended up running up very nicely after the open, still kind of holding somewhat strong. Certainly over 350 as of right now. And I'll keep this on the side here. The UAVS. I want to see if there's anything looking better. I want to get another APT. I want to get another DGLY or that HMHC stock. Space will add to our list here. Looks like it's setting itself up for a potential breakout over 2150. Ended up holding support off of 21 beautifully, moving up and through 2150 as of right now. So, yeah, Space is one that we've had our eye on over the last few days as well. One that we've had our eye on over the last year, really. Going back into the end of 2019, taking off, running up. All right, so Virgin Galactic Space will keep on our list here. If anything, I would assume resistance, like I'd said, to be off that 2150. Ended up seeing a bit of a volume spike just a minute ago, right before I came to it. Yeah, right here. Princefield 2150. So that's our next resistance on this trade. All right, what else do we got here, guys? A familiar name to me. Just want to check it. OTLK. Yeah, not really doing much. Checking on Dell. I told Fausto during our morning audio broadcast, and I mean, it's true. Some of these companies, you just don't really realize that they're still around or still trading or still like $60 and gapping up nicely here. But Dell ended up making a huge pop earlier this morning. Nice run up towards 61.63, the high, and pulling back now, it is shortable. So perhaps if this craps out the other way, it could be a decent opportunity. For right now, I want to see if there's anything cheap or anything just moving in a steadier trend generally. This kind of fits the bill. AEMD, 1.12 million shares traded total. New high of the day. Obviously extremely inexpensive compared. Yeah, I mean, right now, how can I not? Kind of a spotty chart earlier on this morning, but another one that's made some big moves in the past. I mean, this has a pretty funky daily chart. Looks like this thing got halted back in February, reopened up later in the month. Looks like recently here, this thing ended up making a huge run, I guess, in the pre-market back on the 18th. Could dump completely down after the open. All right, you know what? I don't mind putting this on our list here. Hopefully this is our runner going into the close. Not up too much. Just went over that one, the AEMD. There's APT trying to shake back down a bit, maybe making a higher low in the process. Oh, this one. All right, guys, I'll tell you, there's nothing really else looking that great on the gainer side here. We'll hop over to the losers list, see if there's anything looking pretty good on that side of the field. Sharon says VXRT came back down pretty hard. We'll check that one out here coming up. TDCA, holy smokes, down 39+%. Bit of a spread, but that's not really a huge issue as much. It's more of like a level 3-ish trade, I'd say. It's shortable. It's near the lows of the day. Good enough for me. Looks like there could be some support, maybe like 1580-ish, 3,500 share order on the bid. Looks like it was kind of holding over 1585 on the chart. Like 1585, it's actually holding over as a support from the chart. Perhaps if it breaks through that order at 1581, 1580, this thing might just tank. But yeah, I mean, TDCA or TCDA, I guess. Normally, this is the part of the meeting where I'd say there's a bunch of crap that's hard to borrow on the top of the losers list, but that certainly is not the case today. We might just end up putting every single one of these on our list. No, I'm kidding. QTT looks great. I just want to skim through these here if I can. B-Cell, we're not going to put on our list. CLNY, we're not going to put on our list. If you had any bets on me putting NCLH on our list, well, that bet's going to hit. So NCLH, we're going to put on our list going into the close. If you've been following these afternoon meetings with me, you know that we've been trading this stock across the last 3 months. I have stopped trading this as much myself over the last 2 weeks. It's been trading a little bit differently compared to the last month or month and a half prior. I will say up until yesterday ended up seeing a lot of action on this trade early in pre-market. It started to trade like the way it used to when I was following the stock, not just because it was a perfect trend up, but it was making pretty strong breaks through big levels, and it was trading like it used to, like I'd said. So this morning I was following this earlier on today. It was a little shaky, but it was a nice trade early on off of 1650, and then from there ended up pulling back towards 16 here. So yeah, right now, guys, you can see the Dow dropping off lower into the afternoon. And there it goes, NCLH under 16. Ooh, that is not what I'm looking to show, but yeah, right over here. Whoops, right over here. There we go. So NCLH definitely on our list. And at that point, I may as well just check in on the rest of the side list stocks, the airlines, the cruise lines, the entertainment stocks, so to say. What is this, Sleep Number? Yeah, not really doing much. JKS, this is one that we'll follow. We've seen the stock in the past. Near the lows, about to make a new low right now. The only thing that I don't like about this is that the order book is kind of thin. Spread's not too big, but the order book is pretty thin. Saw this VHC trade 2 days ago drop off during this meeting. All right, here's American Airlines, airline stock. We'll check in on this, probably add just airlines, cruise lines in general to our list going into the close, moving down with the market. Yeah, UAL is a more volatile one. I personally like trading this one a bit more, this and Delta. Save has been a pretty volatile stock, or it was a month or so back. Save looks pretty sharp, though, making a new low as well at this time. Same to be said, like I said before, with the cruise lines, RCL, Royal Caribbean, CCL, Carnival Cruise Lines. If anyone has CCL hard to borrow, if you guys can't get shares to short CCL, look to short NCLH, look to short RCL. Another one that's Carnival stock. This one trades less volume on the book, but it is shortable. CUK. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. CUK is another Carnival cruise stock. All right. So if there's anything else, guys, just let me know here in the chat boards, YouTube Live, Facebook, and of course in our trading room here, we have a few already well, actually, we had mRNA going here at first, but Lake said Lake perking up. It is. Up 6+%. Lake, nice run up towards 23. Thin order book. The spread I'm not really that scared of, but it's just the thin order book right now. It's a 5-cent spread right now, but based on how thin the order book is, that could turn into a 15-cent spread like that. So for right now, Lake has a great trend, but I like some of these others here at first. The APT trade is pretty damn volatile. They're kind of moving similarly. If those two are kind of moving together later, maybe we'll check in on the rest. CODX, Code Diagnostics, of course, our Inovio pharmaceutical stock. And then VXRT, which I was going to get to next. So we have a couple, Lake, MBY, VXRT, and then Moderna at the end of it. Yeah, the VXRT trade, I guess I'll put back on our list. Another Corona stock, kind of like the CODX, kind of like the last one that I just brought up, the APT. But yeah, obviously we've been following this, more on than off over the last few days. For as much of a run as this stock made, I'm telling you, I thought it was going to tank. So seeing this make a really sharp run over 16 here, it's a pretty encouraging sign. And for that reason, I'm going to put this back on our list. But got to make sure this thing holds a higher low. Got to make sure this thing holds support over 16, if not over 16. I wouldn't be surprised if it dips down towards like 1590 here first. So yeah, I'll keep this on our list, but has to make sure we see a higher low build and for this to really hold over 16, if anything. All right, and then lastly of all of those, Moderna mRNA. Yeah, a little pricier. This was a lot sharper in the morning. I'm not going to put this on our list going into the close. All right, and then lastly from Kathleen from before, NBY close to the high of the day. Yeah, more of a level 1 trade. She was right, and that was from before. So since Kathleen wrote that, it pulled back a bit. Nice level 1 trade. Ended up making a huge pre-market run a few days back, ran up after the open, but then dumped right back down. This was a complete pump and dump type stock. So, trying to make a small second wind here. I'm not fully buying this one just yet. Figuratively and literally, I'm not going to buy the stock yet, and I'm not buying the extended move potentially. Leo, I think you're typing in on the chat board here. Guys, I think that we're good to go here. Otherwise, if there's anything else, just let me know. Again, BE was a good one too. From yesterday, it wasn't. Well, and from this morning. I didn't watch this earlier this morning, but you were certainly right. Someone wrote that from YouTube. BE was good too. Yeah, definitely from earlier. And actually, if this stock remains shortable, this will be a good one to keep on your side list. Looks like it seemed like it was a great short after it made a lower high, a false breakout over and under 19 going into the early afternoon. I'm going to check in on BOXL and then that'll do. I'm not going to put this on our list. Just wanted to check in on it at least. If this somehow made a push to 4 at the time, perhaps I would have considered otherwise. And hey, it still might. I could still very well be wrong on this push going into the close. I was from this morning, but my intuition tells me otherwise. And aside from that, I know my intuition will tell me and it will tell you guys that if this ends up running and if you don't jump into this trade at the time, there are plenty of other stocks, guys, to try and catch going into the close. So we have a pretty good list to begin here already. In total, we have 2, 4, 6. Actually, I'm pretty good. 7. It's not a 30 stock watch list you'd get from me normally. So 7 stocks to work with, guys. Aside from that, if none of these end up moving in the next 10, 15 minutes or so, at that point, we'll look to rescan the market, see what else we can get going into the end of this day. All right, guys, aside from that, let me put the banner up to finish up here on the stream. I thought I did that from before, but I apologize. But make sure that you guys go right to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/cybertradingu. If you have not subscribed already, at least from that point, you'll have a good idea as far as knowing when we'll be live, when we're not. And of course, for all of us here live in our trading room, as I always say, let's try and close out this Thursday afternoon just as well as we opened it up. Holy smokes, I need a water break. Take care, guys.